and welcome to the public hearing for the draft 2025 State of Florida Community Planning and Development Annual Action Plan. My name is Leisha Bahena. I'm a Bureau Chief in the Office of Long-Term Resiliency. Our goal for today's meeting is to gather input on the housing and community development needs from residents, public agencies, and other interested parties. This input will inform the development of the 2020 State of Florida Community Planning and Development Annual Action Plan. We thank you all for participating today. During today's public hearing, we will discuss the current consolidated plan and the purpose and contents of the 2025 State of Florida Community Planning and Development Annual Action Plan. Each partner in the development process will discuss the program implemented with these HUD grant funds. We will then talk about additional options for participation in the plan development. We will save comments and questions until after the presentation. The United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, requires that states receiving certain federal funds prepare a 5-year consolidated plan to 24 Code of Federal Regulations, CFR 91. The consolidated plan provides the framework for a planning process to identify housing, homelessness, community and economic development needs, and resources for meeting those needs. Florida's 2020 through 2024 consolidated plan was developed through a cooperative effort of special interest groups, private citizens, and state agencies that have responsibilities relating to housing, community and economic development, and social services. HUD has granted an extension to the 2020 through 2024 consolidated plan. This consolidated plan will now extend to 2025 and include the 2025 action plan. The next consolidated plan will be for the years 2026 through 2030. There are 4 state agencies / organizations who are required participants in the state's consolidated planning process, with Florida Commerce as the lead agency. We will discuss these agencies and their programs in just a few slides. In addition to the 5-year consolidated plan, federal regulations and 24 CFR 91.320 also require that the state develop an action plan on an annual basis. This action plan is developed with the same organization partners as the consolidated plan. The annual action plan must include an outline of resources, annual objectives, activities, a description of geographic distribution of assistance, affordable housing goals, activities aiming to reduce / end homelessness, barriers to affordable housing, program-specific requirements, and an outline of the consultation process. The 2025 action plan will be submitted to HUD by August 16, 2025. For the development of the annual action plan, Florida Commerce works with the Florida Department of Children and Families, Florida Department of Health, Florida Housing and Finance Corporation. Today, we have representatives from each of these organizations to speak on the programs administered using the funds allocated by HUD to the state of Florida. Florida Commerce administers the Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program, which supports affordable housing and infrastructure needs that primarily benefit low to moderate income households. The Florida Department of Children and Families, DCF, Emergency Solutions Grant Program provides transitional and rapid rehousing activities to the homeless segment of the population. Florida Department of Health, DOH, administers the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS program. providing housing opportunities to persons with HIV and AIDS. Florida Housing Finance Corporation, FHFC's Home Investment Partnership Program addresses affordable housing for low and very low income households by providing rehabilitation, reconstruction, new construction, and rental assistance activities. FHFC also administers the National Housing Trust Fund Program, which works in tandem with other affordable housing programs to finance new units for extremely low-income residents. Here to talk about the Community Development Block Grant CDBG program is Graham Markarian.
Good morning. My name is Graham Markarian, the lead supervisor for the Community Development Block Grant Program for the state of Florida, also known as the CDBG program, which is operated by Florida Commerce's Bureau of Small Cities and Rural Communities. The CDBG program provides funding which supports affordable housing and community development activities within eligible areas of the state of Florida. The CDBG program has 4 program categories. Those are commercial revitalization, economic development, housing rehabilitation, and neighborhood revitalization. Examples of projects for each of these categories are listed on this slide. Potentially eligible applicants for the CDBG program include non-entitlement municipalities and counties within Florida which meet these specific population criteria. A specific list of these communities is available at the link on the screen. We will now hear more from the Emergency Solutions Grant Program from Shannon Falls within the Department of Children and Families.
Hi, everyone. So we do have Eric's name up here. He is the director. I'm the deputy director. Did I have slides to go with this? Can you hear me?
We do have slides.
Oh, okay, great. So the Emergency Solutions Grant Program is part of the McKinney-Vento Homelessness Assistance Act. And it authorizes the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, to provide grants to states as well as local government and territories for rehabilitation or conversion of buildings for emergency shelters. This grant also pays for expenses that are related to operating the emergency shelters. It assists with street outreach for the homeless, as well as homelessness prevention and rapid rehousing. Another one. All right, and I guess Hop was next.
On this slide is the housing. On this slide, the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, our HOPWA program, is operated by the Florida Department of Health. Questions regarding the HOPWA program may be directed to Cheryl Urbanes using the contact information seen on the screen. The HOPWA program offers the following services: short-term transitional housing, permanent housing replacement, short-term rent and mortgage and utility, tenant-based rental assistance, resource identification, housing case management, and other supportive services such as nutrition and transportation services. This program promotes the concept that housing is healthcare, and its goals include to establish and maintain a stable living environment, reduce the risk of homelessness among people living with HIV, AIDS, and their families, transition homeless individuals or families into stable housing, create a strategy for long-term housing and stability for persons living with AIDS and HIV, provide access to HIV treatment and other healthcare support services to improve the quality of life for persons living with HIV and AIDS. Our final organizational partner is the Florida Housing Finance Corporation. Nicole Gibson with FHFC will now speak on the NHTF and home programs. Nicole?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Gibson, and I am the Federal Loans Program Director for Florida Housing. My contact information is on this screen if you have any questions. The Florida Housing Finance Corporation administers both the Home Investment Partnerships Program and the National Housing Trust Fund. These programs provide funding for activities that create and maintain affordable housing. Any questions regarding the home or NHTF program may be directed to me, again, as I said, with the contact information you find on the screen. The Home Investment Partnerships Program provides non-amortized, low-interest loans to developers for new construction or rehabilitation of affordable rental housing to low-income families. Borrowers of home funds may be for-profit developers, nonprofit housing providers, community housing development organizations, local governments, redevelopment organizations, or public housing authorities. Home loans must comply with regulations found at 24 CFR Part 92 and other applicable federal requirements, including federal labor standards. Eligible applicants should apply for funding through FHFC's request for applications process or through a reservations process. Programs at Florida Housing are governed by Rule 6748 for home rental or Rule 6757 for the home ownership pool program of the Florida Administrative Code. The National Housing Trust Fund program provides funding for affordable housing for extremely low income households with income at or below 30% of the area median income. The NHTF loans must comply with 24 CFR Part 93 and other applicable federal requirements, including environmental standards. NHTF requirements are very similar to the home program. However, the Davis-Bacon federal labor standards that apply to home do not apply to NHTF finance developments. I will now hand it over to Alicia Bahena.
Thank you, Nicole and Shannon, for sharing information on your programs today. We will have an opportunity for questions and answers for many of our speakers in a few moments. To ensure the 2025 State of Florida Community Planning Development Action Plan is developed with the needs of Floridians in mind, we have developed a survey to gather insight from people who work in the fields of housing and community development, lending, social services, and fair housing and advocacy. Survey responses are anonymous unless you choose to provide your name. The information gathered from this survey will inform the state's development of the annual action plan, which determines priorities for federal funding received from HUD Community Planning and Development grants. With the assistance of all the partner agencies, the stakeholder survey has been distributed to individuals throughout the state to collect updated information on the housing and community development needs and underserved residents and communities in Florida. If you would like to complete a survey, you can find a link to it at this webpage, or you can ask one of the panelists to provide you with a link after the hearing. The stakeholder survey will remain open through August 6, 2025. Federal Register regulations require a 30-day public comment period. The 2025 State of Florida Community Planning Development Annual Action Plan was posted for public comment on July 11th of 2025. The action plan will remain posted for public comment until August 10th, 2025. We welcome any comments today prior to the submission of the plan. Additionally, comments may be made via email to cdbg@commerce.fl.gov or by mail to the address seen on the screen. Following the comment period, Florida Commerce will submit the 2025 State of Florida Community Planning Development Action Plan to HUD. We now have a few minutes for comments and questions, if you have any. We will mute for just a moment as we gather information. Thank you for staying with us. At this point, we have not received any questions or comments in the chat. However, if you do have one and would like to be able to ask, please, if you could go ahead and raise your hand, we would be happy to answer any questions or address any comments. Well, at this time, it doesn't appear that we have any questions or comments. For awareness, this presentation will be posted, and if you come up with questions or comments later, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. I would like to take a moment to thank you again so much for your time today in attending this presentation. We are grateful for your participation and any feedback you are willing to provide. If you have any additional questions or comments, please reach out to the contacts listed on the slide.